Okay, hey ladies and gentlemen, this is Miss Humbert. So today we're going to continue moving through factoring with the x. Now, this is a lot of what we did yesterday with just some more complex examples. So if you feel like, okay, hey, I got this yesterday, I know how to do this, go ahead and fill the note sheet out on your own. Regardless, you need to have a completed white sheet. So if you want to do it on your own, that's fine. The only thing I suggest is if you're really stuck on a problem, if you're doing it on your own, to maybe fast forward on and watch on the video before you come and ask me. So if you're stuck on a problem and you're working through it on your own, make sure you try watching on the video before you come and ask me. Otherwise, you can also just watch the video all the way through just to hear me talk through some more examples. So these are our steps that we've already talked about. They're on the top of your sheet already written. So if you're stuck, oh, I don't remember where to go next, reference those back to those steps. Okay, see where you are at and then see where you need to go next based on those steps. So let's take a look at some more examples. So for number 1, we have x squared plus 10x plus 16. So remember, the first thing we want to do always is assign our a. Ooh, that is not a very dark color. All right, our a, our b, and our c values. So now I want to go ahead and set up my x. So I am multiplying to 16 and adding to 10. Now, some of you are getting to the point where you can probably do the x in your head. Fine, do the x in your head, okay? You don't have to show the multiplication list of 16. That's just there in case you're stuck with what multiplies to 16. So I wrote out all the things that multiply to 16. I have 1 and 16, 2 and 8, 4 and 4. So I have 2 and I have 8. That's going to multiply to 16 and add to 10. Again, both positive products. A factor, sorry, because our product is positive and so is our sum. So now what we're going to do is we're going to rewrite out this equation. So instead of writing 10x, I'm going to write that as 2x plus 8x plus 16. So now I want to go ahead and I want to factor this by grouping. So I want to make some groups. So this. So between x squared and 2x, I can divide out an x, and then I'm left with x plus 2 when I divide that out. Between 8 and 16, I can actually divide out an 8. So then I'm dividing each term by 8, and I'm left with x plus 2. So now if you notice, our leftovers here are matching. So what we can do is we can write out, factor those out, we're left with x plus 2. So once we factor that out, we're going to write what's left after that, which is x plus 8. So this right here is your final answer. So we have x plus 2 and x plus 8 for number 1. Taking a look, moving forward with number 4. So for number 4, our a is equal to 4, our b is equal to 4, and our c is equal to negative 3. So now we want to go ahead and we want to set up our x. So we're multiplying to 4 times a negative 3, which is a negative 12, and adding to 4. So we have a negative product, which means we need to have a positive and a negative factor. So let's take a look at what multiplies to negative 12. So if we multiply to negative 12, we have 1 and negative 12, negative 1 and 12, 2, negative 6, negative 2, 6, 3, negative 4, negative 3, 4. So all of those multiplied to a negative 12. So we want to see which of those add to a positive 4. And that's going to be negative 2 and 6. So I have a positive 6 and a negative 2. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that to split up my 4x. So my first term is going to stay the same, so I still have 4x squared. Now instead of writing 4x, I'm going to write that as 6x minus 2x, and then again that last term is going to stay the same as minus 3. So now I can go ahead and I can factor these by grouping. So this. So between 4 and 6, I can take out a 2 and an x. So now we're dividing each term by 2x. So 4 divided by 2 is 2. X squared divided by x is just x. Then, taking a look at number 6. 6 divided by 2 is 3, and x over x is going to cancel out. So, next, I notice that there's a negative sign right there. So that means I need to take out a negative GCF. Between negative 2x and negative 3, I can take out a negative 1. and then we have negative 2x plus 3 when I take out that negative. So this and this are left over and matching. So I can go ahead and I can factor out a 2x plus 3. So now that I've factored that out, I'm going to write what's left over. So I have 2x and I have minus 1. So 2x plus 3 and 2x minus 1. So this right here is your final answer for number 2. All right, let's take a look at number 3. So for number 3, we can go ahead and write out our values. A is equal to 1. B is equal to negative 1. C is equal to negative 12. So now let's go ahead and let's start out and set up our x. So we're multiplying to a negative 12 because we're going to take 1 times a negative 12. And then we're adding to a negative 1. So let's take a look at the things that multiply to a negative 12. Well, we have 1 and negative 12, negative 1 and positive 12, 2 and negative 6, negative 2 and positive 6, 3 and negative 4, negative 3 and 4. Because it's a negative product, we have to have a positive and a negative sign. So we want to get a negative 1, and what's going to give us that is positive 3 and negative 4. So now we're ready to factor by grouping. So let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to write out our equation, and we're going to keep the first term the same, and then we're going to split up the second term. We're going to have plus 3x minus 4x minus 12. So now we need to factor by grouping. Okay, so to factor by grouping, we have our groups here. Between x squared and 3x, we're left with an x. So then we're going to divide both terms by x. So x squared divided by x is just x, and then 3x divided by x just leaves us with 3. So we have a negative sign in the middle here, so that means we're going to take out a negative GCF. Between 4 and 12, we can divide each of those by a negative 4. So negative 4 over negative 4 is x. Negative 12 divided by negative 4 is a positive 3. So then, left over, we have x plus 3 and x plus 3. So we're going to factor that out. And then we're going to write what's left after that, which is x minus 4. So this right here is your answer for number 3. Let's go ahead and let's take a look at number 4. Okay, so for number 4, we need to assign our a, our b, and our c value. So a is equal to 3, b is equal to 13, and c is equal to 12. So now we need to set up our x. So remember, you need to take your a times your c. Well, 3 times 12 is 36. So we're multiplying to 36 and adding to 13. Both of them are positive, so both our factors are going to be positive. So to multiply to 36, 1, 36, 2, 18, 3 and 12, 4 and 9, 6 and 6. So we want to figure out which of those add to 13, and that's going to be 4 and 9. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to use 4 and 9 to split up the b term. So to do that, we're going to have 3x squared, then plus 4x plus 9x plus 12. And now once we have that, we can use that to factor by grouping. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's change my color here. Okay, so parenthesis, parenthesis. So between 3 and 4, there's nothing we can divide out, but we can take out an x. So we're dividing each of those terms by x. And then we're left with 3x plus 4 when we divide each term by x. Between 9 and 12, we can divide out a 3. So I'm dividing each of those terms by 3. 9 divided by 3 is 3, and then x. 12 divided by 3 is 4. So 3x plus 4, 3x plus 4. So we're going to go ahead and take out what was left over, which is 3x plus 4. Once we've divided that out, we're going to write what's left after that, which is x plus 3. So we have 3x plus 4 and x plus 3. This right here is your final answer for number 4. Okay, moving forward, let's take a look at 5 and 6. So let's assign our A, our B, and our C values. So A is equal to 6, B is equal to 7, and C is equal to 2. So when we go through to set up our x, we're going to multiply A times C. 6 times 2 is 12, so we're multiplying to 12 and adding to 7. Again, both of our factors are positive because our product is positive and so is our sum. So things that multiply to 12, 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4. So we want to figure out which of those add to 7, which is 3 and 4. So now we need to factor that by grouping. So I keep my first term the same, and then I split up my middle term as 3x plus 4x plus 2. So now I need to factor by grouping. Okay, so to factor by grouping, I'm going to make my two groups. Between 6x squared and 3x, I can take out a 3 and an x, so I'm dividing both of those terms by 3x. 6 divided by 3 is 2. X squared divided by x is x. 3x divided by 3x is just going to be 1. Between 4x and 2, I can divide out a 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2. And then 1 over 1 is just 1. So now I'm going to write what's left over once I factor those out. So we notice that, oops, I forgot my 2 there. So 2x plus 1 is left over. And then once we cross those off, we have our plus 2 that I forgot there, and our 3x. So then the leftover is 3x plus 2 for that one. Okay, let's take a look at number 6. So for number 6, we're going to start by assigning our A, our B, and our C values. So A is equal to 1, B is equal to 9, and C is equal to 20. So let's go ahead and set up our x. So we're going to take 1 times 20, and that's going to be our product, which is 20. So we're multiplying to 20 and adding to 9. Well, let's take a look at the things that multiply to 20. Since both are positive, we're going to have two positive factors. We have 1 and 20, 2 and 10, 4 and 5. All of those add to 20 or multiply to 20. The ones that add to 9 are 4 and 5. So now I'm going to use that to split up that 9x right there. So then I have x squared plus 4x plus 5x plus 20. And now I'm going to factor that by grouping. Group, 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 group. Okay, between x squared and 4x, I can divide out an x, and I'm left with x plus 4. Between 5 and 20, I can divide out a 5, and I'm left with x plus 4. So you notice there that your leftovers are matching. So I can go ahead and I can factor out that x plus 4. And once I get rid of those, I'm going to write what's left after that, which is x plus 5. So I want you guys to go ahead and try the last two on your own. Make sure I have you check your answers on it so we know that you're doing it correctly. Make sure your note sheet is complete before you bring it up. Thanks for listening.